It all began with a dream, or rather, a call from the soul. Robert Adams, then just an ordinary American boy, but inside him there was a voice that whispered, "Robert, this is not your real home." From a young age, he would look into the mirror and ask, "Who am I? What is looking through these eyes?" A simple question, but a gateway to the enlightenment that Ramana Maharshi taught all of humanity. Many years later, during a deep meditation, Robert saw a bright light appear, a light in the form of an Indian saint. The light smiled, and the voice spoke again, this time clearly. "I am Ramana Maharshi. You will come to me in Arunachala." Just a few years later, that destiny became a reality. Robert left America and traveled thousands of miles to Mount Arunachala, considered the heart of Shiva, the symbol of eternal presence. When he arrived at the small temple where Ramana was meditating, Robert recounted, "Not a word was spoken. I just looked into his eyes, and everything disappeared. No more Robert, no more world, just pure presence. Arunachala, the mountain of sacred fire, where all is are burned away to reveal the eternal true self." From then on, Robert Adams' life was no longer his own. He became the one who brought that light back to the West, to remind humanity that truth is not in knowledge, but in silence. Robert Adams, the disciple of silence. Robert never considered himself a disciple of Ramana in the conventional sense. He often said, "He did not teach me anything. He only made me forget everything I thought I knew." When Robert met Ramana, he was near the end of his life. Yet the master's energy radiated like the morning sun. Without touching it, he could feel it. Robert said that the first time he sat in Ramana's presence, all notions of time and space vanished. He heard the birds singing, but there was no one to listen. He felt his body, but it was no longer someone else's. In his silence, all questions disappear before they are asked. Ramana Maharshi taught, "Silence is the greatest language. Words only obscure the truth." Robert understood it in his own way. He called it the transmission of silence. Not through teachings, but through the vibrational frequency of consciousness. When he sat near Ramana, he felt an all-encompassing energy, subtle but extremely powerful, like a sacred force field pulling all consciousness back to the state of nothingness. Robert said, "When I look at him, I do not see a person. I see light. That light is me." From then on, Robert no longer searched for the truth because he realized, the seeker and the sought have never been separate. Ramana once said, "Be still and know that you are God." Robert lived by that sentence for the rest of his life. From Arunachala, he brought this message to the West, teaching, "You are the self. The self is eternal. Be still and know that." Silence, that is all that is needed. In that silence, everything Robert revealed about his master shone like immortal truth. Robert Adams's special revelations about his teacher. 1. The gaze of liberation. Robert Adams once said, "When I looked into his eyes, all thought stopped. There was no need to try, no need to meditate. Everything melted into an ocean of indescribable peace." Ramana Maharshi did not preach philosophy in words. His eyes were the teaching. The energy that emanated from him was the teaching. No logic, no ritual, no belief, just being in the same space. Your mind began to melt. Robert said, "It was the first time in my life that I felt as if I had been seen right into my soul. There was no judgment, no love or hate, just infinite knowing. And in that knowing, I disappeared." Ramana's gaze was not directed at Robert's body, but through all the veils of consciousness, directly to the true I within. In that moment, the seeker disappeared. There was only the self looking at the self, the being looking at itself. Ramana Maharshi called this darshan, blessing through presence. not through magic, but through the vibrational frequency of pure consciousness. Many who have been to Arunachala say that, just by looking at Ramana once, they felt as if all their karma had dissolved, all their suffering had been washed away. Not because he did anything, but because he was the embodiment of silence, and in that silence, all illusions had no place to cling. 2. The silent transmission. Robert Adams explains that Ramana taught in a language without words, the language of frequency. He said, "His presence is like an invisible wave that enters your mind, shattering all thoughts, like waves breaking the sands of the ego's castle. In that presence, you cannot think, nor cannot not think. You just know. Know not with the mind, but with the heart of the universe." Robert said that he sat for hours, day after day, in the small room where Ramana meditated. No one spoke. No lectures, no rituals, just presence. And it was there that he began to understand. Silence is not something you do, it is what you are. Ramana once said, "Silence is the teaching. Silence is the most powerful upadesa. Silence is the teaching. Silence is the most powerful teaching." Robert paraphrases, "If you can sit still without chasing thoughts, without reacting to emotions, you will realize that this silence is not the absence of anything. It is the presence of everything. Silence is not a void. It is the energy field of God. When you touch it, you cannot go back to being the same person." 3. The moment of dissolution, when Robert is no longer Robert. One of Robert's most profound revelations about Ramana was recorded in talks in Los Angeles many years later. He recounts one time while meditating with Ramana in his room. "I felt a wave of warm energy spread through me. It didn't come from outside. It seemed to well up from within. Then everything disappeared. There was no body, no room, no Ramana, no me. There was only light, a soft, tolerant, infinite light. And I knew that was the true self, which had never been born and which would never die." Robert says that, from that moment on, he no longer felt like the one living this life. All experiences, all events, all emotions came and went like waves on the surface of a lake. And he, just the lake, motionless, without attachment, without resistance, without fear. Ramana had not given him knowledge, not given him supernatural powers, but given him the very nature of being, the timeless nature of being. 4. The energy of grace. Robert Adams often said, "No one can attain enlightenment by personal effort. Ego cannot destroy ego. Enlightenment happens when the grace of God flows in, washing away all barriers." He believed that Ramana Maharshi was the embodiment of grace, not a God who rewards or punishes, but a stream of awakening energy that is always present in each of us. When you sit with him, you join that river, and it carries you back to the ocean of yourself. Robert said, "Grace is not far away. It is your very nature. But when you are with the Master, that river is awakened. He does not give you anything new. He only reminds you of what you have never lost." Ramana once said, "The Guru and the Self are one. When you surrender to the Guru, you surrender to your own self." This means, the Master is not outside of you. When you look at the Master, you see your own divine nature reflected. Ramana did not teach Robert anything specific. He only reminded him of himself. 5. The treasure of simple words. Although Ramana rarely spoke, he sometimes answered meditators' questions with simple words, but each word was like a lightning bolt touching the soul. Robert said that he once asked him, "Bhagavan, I have meditated for many years, but I have not seen the ego disappear." Ramana just smiled and said, "Who told you that it is still there?" A question that shattered the questioner. Robert said that after that answer, he laughed out loud, because he realized The one who is trying to destroy the ego is the ego itself. From then on, he stopped trying. He no longer tried to meditate, to achieve, to understand. He just be still, sit still, and let everything be as it is. 6. The transmission after the master's death. When Ramana Maharshi left the world in 1950, it is said that a brilliant ray of light shot up into the sky and disappeared into the summit of Mount Arunachala. Robert, upon hearing the news, remained silent for a long time. Then he said, "He has not gone anywhere. When your master is the self, how can he disappear?" From then on, Robert never said, "I was Ramana's disciple," but always said, "Ramana is I am Ramana, and Ramana is all of us." He taught his disciples that the true master never dies, because he is the self. When you are still, you feel that presence, not with your eyes, but with your soul. That is the eternal transmission. No ritual, no form, just light upon light. 7. The last secret, when student and teacher become one. Robert Adams reveals, "The day I left Arunachala, I cried. But when I got down from the mountain, I realized everything I had ever loved, ever respected, was in my heart. I had not left Ramana, because I had never been separated from him. That is the final step of enlightenment. No longer seeing myself as a student, no longer seeing anyone as a teacher, no longer seeing anyone as God. Only one pure stream of consciousness, where all boundaries disappear." Robert says, "In the end, there is no teacher, no student, no world. Only pure awareness remains. Finally, there is no master, no disciple, no world. Only pure awareness remains." That was the ultimate revelation, the most sacred gift he brought back from Arunachala. Not a teaching, but the dissolution in the light of selfless love. Ramana's silence is the sound of the universe. In that silence, all souls return home. Core philosophy. Who has experienced all this? 1. The ultimate question, who am I? The door to infinity. No teaching of Ramana Maharshi is more profound or revolutionary than this question. Who am I? Who am I? A seemingly simple question, but hidden within it is the entire philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual philosophy of the unity of God, the universe, and man. Ramana did not give a theory, did not give a system of beliefs. He simply gave humanity a mirror, for each person to look at himself. Robert Adams once said, "If you really ask that question with all your heart, you will not need any answer, because the questioner will disappear and only silence will remain." This is what makes Ramana's teaching beyond philosophy, beyond religion. It is a direct experience of being, where there is no questioner, only pure consciousness knowing itself. 2. Self-inquiry, the shortest path to God. Ramana Maharshi once said, "Of all the spiritual paths, meditation, prayer, service, love, the path of self-inquiry, who am I, is the most direct, because it does not go outward, but returns to your own source." Robert Adams put this in modern language. Everybody wants to be free from suffering, but you cannot free the self that is suffering. You have to find out who is suffering. He taught his disciples, when you ask, who is feeling this pain? You turn your gaze back to the one who is feeling. When you ask deeply enough, that person dissolves, and only boundless peace remains. This is the secret of awakening, not the attainment of a new state, but the realization of what is already there, but is covered by ego, memory, and thought. Ramana called this self-realization. Robert called it awakening to the self. Both point to the same point. There is nothing to attain. There are only illusions to dissolve. 3. The illusion of the self, the source of all suffering. Robert once said, There is no real problem in your life. The only problem is who you think you are. This quote contains the essence of Advaita, because all suffering, fear, jealousy, frustration can only exist when we believe that we are someone, a separate, small ego needing protection. Ramana Maharshi said it clearly. The ego has no substance. It is like the shadow of a cloud on the water. When the wind dies down, the cloud disappears, the shadow disappears. But the water is never affected. Robert uses simpler language. The ego is nothing but a bundle of thoughts about me. The ego is just a bundle of thoughts about what we call me. When you turn inward and ask, who is thinking? You are shining light where the darkness resides. And when the light appears, the darkness does not need to be chased away. It disappears by itself. For the ego disappears. Only I am remains. In many of his lectures, Robert says, when you stop and ask, who is experiencing this? You will find that the experiencer does not exist. There is only pure experience itself. This is the key to realization. There is no seer and the seen, only seeing. There is no lover and the beloved, only love. There is no meditator and the state of meditation, only silence. Ramana Maharshi once said, when the I thought disappears, what remains is the self. When the thought I disappears, what remains is the self. This is not a philosophy to understand, but a truth to live. When you realize this, the world is no longer an opposite, but a perfect reflection of consciousness. Everything you see, trees, people, the sky, the very breath, is an expression of one energy, which is self, which is God, which is Satchidananda, being, consciousness, pleasure. Robert Adams said, there is only the self. The world, your mind, your body, they are appearances within it. When you awaken, you laugh, because you realize there was never anyone to awaken. And indeed, when you realize this, all searching ends. There is no more seeker, no more goal, no more journey, because you have never left home.